Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever you're at, please comment below and let us all know. So for those who are following, we are continuing with our real estate study guide. This is for those who are wishing to take the real estate exam in any state. This should help you. We're going to take a little test today, and I don't know how long this video is going to be. You have to get 70% to pass and move on to the next section. So, normally I don't pass things the first time, so we may be taking it twice, which may help you because as a former teacher, I can tell you that it helps if you do repetition. If you see it, you write it down, you hear it, and you keep repeating things, this will help you remember, and you should pass your real estate exam the first time. That's what we're hoping, because these tests cost like $60 to $70 each time you take them. So we don't want to keep taking these tests over and over. So this is part of the study guide series that I've been doing, and this will be like a little test to test our knowledge. Now, if you do really bad, you can always go back and watch some of my videos on whatever section you need help on. So I'm getting ready to delete myself off of here, but you'll hear me in the background. Feel free to take pictures of these questions so you can go back and review them if you want. But otherwise, we're just going to keep going on, and hopefully it won't be over 30 minutes, but I can't guarantee that today. Okay, so let's see. All right. Which form of real property ownership for owners other than married couples means there's equal ownership, shares with undivided possession rights? Okay. I think this is the one for married people. No, this means sever one person. I think entirety is for the married people. So I want to say equal ownership shares. I want to say it's this one. Now I'm totally guessing because I don't have all these memorized. Avery, who holds a life estate with remainder interest, dies without heirs. When this happens, what happens to the property? Let's see. He holds a life estate with remainder interest and dies without heirs. It'd be nice if you could talk through the computer, but and help me out. Like, where is my parachute here? Okay, let's see. What happens to the property? He dies without heirs. I'm thinking it goes through the state. Okay. In accordance to his will. Okay, if he has a will, which it doesn't say in this thing here, he says he holds a life estate. So, all right, we'll try that and see if we get it right. Beneficiary interest in land that's part of a land trust is considered beneficiary interest. I don't know. I'm guessing. Real property? Siblings Julia and Jean are co-owners of a small retail building in which a tanning salon is currently operating. Jean wants to leave his ownership interest to his son when he dies, but the way in which they own the property doesn't allow him to do so. Which type of ownership do they have? Oh, I can't remember if joint tenancy goes down the heirs or not. I'm going to say joint tenancy. What is the best example of an estate from period to period? I think period to period would be. This one? I'm thinking this one. Alright, let's try it. Jenner purchased his first home to which he'll have access forever. As far as he knows, Jenner purchased his first home, which he will have access. As far as he knows, Jenner owns. You see how tricky this is, unless you have them memorized. It's pretty tricky. Okay, let's see. Jenner owns. Freehold estate? Leasehold estate? Okay, I'm going to guess freehold. Which of the following statements about community property rights is true? I believe 9 states have it. And I can't remember all of them, but we went over it, and it's probably in your textbook if you have a textbook. If you have some kind of textbook, it might tell you, but we did discuss that already. Okay, limited liability companies and limited liability partnerships are favorable forms of business because they don't require a general partner. When permitted, married couples usually hold property as tenancy by entirety, I believe. Ken, Dale, and James were brothers who owned more than 100 acres as tenants in common. So the relationship between Ken and James disintegrated. And now James initiated a lawsuit. The relationship between Ken and James disintegrated. The end result was they gave the court each brother a designated set of acres to own. I believe it's partition when this happens. Peter wants to set up a land trust so that his children can benefit from real estate investments after he dies. He asked his financial advisor, Tom, to manage the trust, and Tom agreed. Tom distributes income from the real estate investments. Peter conveys the real estate to Tom. Peter dies. Peter purchases the real estate. Okay, I believe that's correct. How is the trust created? Which of the following is a life estate and property held by a widow? I believe it is dower. All trusts have 3 parties: the trustor, the trustee, and the beneficiary. All trusts have 3 parties: the trustor, the beneficiary, and the trustee. Wasn't that just like the last question in reverse? Jess has permission to live on his father's property as long as Jess's grandmother is alive. This is an example of which type of life estate. Jess has permission to live on his father's property as long as his grandmother is alive. I'm going to say it's life estate with remainder. There are many advantages to holding property within a trust. One of the most important advantages is that some trusts avoid probate. I want to say avoid probate. Okay, let's see how we did. 63. No, I told you. Told you I would probably fail. It's very rare that I pass the first time. Okay, we're going to go through it again. It took about 10 minutes, so this will be about a 20-minute video or so. We're going to go through it again until we pass. And like I said, don't get discouraged because repetition will help you remember. All right, let's go through it so we don't get the same ones wrong again, we hope. Okay, so the first one was joint tenancy. We'll probably get a similar question again. Okay. Equal ownership shares with undivided possession rights is joint tenancy. Okay, let's see. Okay. Avery, who holds a life estate with remainder interest, dies without heirs. When this happens, what happens to the property? It automatically reverts to the person holding the remainder interest. Okay. Boy, we got a lot of them wrong here on this, didn't we? Beneficiary interest in land that's part of a lands trust is considered personal property. Part of a land trust. I don't really know how to remember that either. Beneficiary interest is considered personal property. The interest conveyed is real property. Okay, that's a little confusing. That's kind of a tricky question there. Oh my God, we got one right here. Okay, so this is the one about the retail building in which a tanning salon is operating, and Gene wants to leave his ownership interest to the son when he dies. So again, it's joint tenancy on this one, because you can give your heirs whatever's left. Okay. What is the best example of an estate from period to period? I had a feeling I was going to get this one wrong because I had no idea. Okay, after Morgan's 1-year lease expired, he continued to lease the property with no defined end date. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Oh, we got this one right. His first home, he will have access forever as far as he knows. He owns a freehold estate. And we got this one right, too. Community rights is true. 9 states have community property rights, and I don't have all those states memorized. I don't think you will either. Just as long as you know there's 9 of them right now that have property rights, community property rights. And we discussed that in another video, so if you want to go back through that, go through the videos. We talk more about that. All right, limited liability is because they don't require a general partner. Married couples usually hold property as tenancy by the entirety. Okay. 100 acres, tenants in common. They want to divide up the land because they get into a fight. And I'm sure this happens quite often. Partition. Okay, Peter conveys the real estate to Tom. Okay, this is a little tricky. All right. So Peter dies, and he's creating a trust for his children. He asks his financial advisor to manage the trust. So that's why he's conveying the real estate to Tom. Now, if he was a lawyer, the lawyer would sell all his stuff and then distribute the income. So that was a little tricky. You got to make sure you read that pretty good. He asked his financial advisor, not his attorney. Okay, which of the following is a life estate and property held by a widow? And this is dower. We talked about this in another video more in depth if you want to go back. The husband gives a curtsy to the wife, okay? That's how you kind of remember that. the husband is the curtsy and the woman is the dower. And the husband does a curtsy to his wife. Okay? That's the way I remembered it anyway. All trusts have three parties: the trustor, the trustee, and the beneficiary. Now this one was kind of like a little easy for me. Apparently, because I got them both right. And it's the same question twice. They just kind of reversed the order. Okay, this one was pure Autreve. I have no idea how to pronounce that, but this is an example of what kind of life estate when they live on the property until they die. And it sounds a little French. Okay, there are many advantages to holding property within a trust. One of the advantages of some of the trusts is that they avoid probate. Okay. So we are going to go back in and take this test again. And let's just hope we get a lot of the same questions. Okay. View exam results. View exam results. Okay. Retake the exam. Retake. All right, let's keep going. All right, this was not a question on the last one. Henry died. His property wasn't held in a trust. His estate will go through probate to ensure his property is distributed to his beneficiaries according to his will. The probate process often takes a year or more. Non-lawful possession after expiration of a lease is called... I have no idea on that one. Huh. Wonder if we can Google it. Non-lawful possession. Non-lawful possession after a... Can't do this on the test, unfortunately. But let's see if we can find out. Tenancy as suffrage. All right. Next. All right. A pair of siblings hold title to a property. What is most likely form of ownership they hold? I want to say tenants in common. What type of ownership includes unity of time, title, interest, possession, and marriage? Usually if it's marriage, it's tenancy by entirety. A sole proprietorship is a familiar business model. If you practice real estate as a sole proprietor, which of the following is true? You're an independent contractor. Which of the following statements is true in regarding community property rights and property ownership? I'm going to say all property purchased before the marriage automatically comes under the community property rights requirement. All right, I'm going to go with that. All right, Rhonda and Oliver bought an old schoolhouse with the hope of transforming it into a residence. They owned the property as joint tenants. After Oliver died, how did Rhonda own the building? I want to say is a joint with rights of survivorship. I'm not sure if tenants in common have. You can do that with heirs. I can't remember. I have to go back and look that up. One of them that you cannot give money to the heirs. So I don't know which one that is. I'd have to go back and look at my notes. Lewis and Elliot started a real estate investment business together. After much discussion with their attorney, they decided to incorporate, but in such a way that they are treated like a partnership and don't have to pay corporate taxes. What form of business do they have? I want to say an LLC, and maybe this one. Don't have to pay corporate taxes. When Edmund died, he left several properties to his heirs. He owned a grocery store and a campground outright in a strip mall. It was held in a living trust. Which of the properties, if any, did not go through the probate process after his death? It was held in a living trust. Which of the following did not have to go through the probate process after his death? I think they were all in a living trust, so I think they all had to go through probate. Which primary benefit does a living trust have over a will? I think it avoids taxes. Upon the death of a joint tenant, to whom will that person's interest in the joint tenancy pass? I want to say the surviving joint tenants. Which ownership type is defined by the four unities: time, title, interest, and possession? I think we had this question on the last test. All right, well, I thought we had this already. Let me see if I can Google this. Joint tenancy. Okay, that's what it says. That's what I had, so I would have had it right. I just wanted to double check because I don't want to fail it again. All right, once Greg and Catelyn were married, they decided to purchase a home together. Since it was a shotgun wedding after a weekend, they made sure their ownership included the right of survivorship. Though not recognized in all states, the most likely form of co-ownership under which they made this purchase is I want to say entirety because they were married. Martin placed all his real estate investments in a trust, and the proceeds are distributed to the trust through his son Nathan. Martin still manages the properties indirectly, and Nathan currently benefits as he's past the required beneficiary age of 18. What type of trust is this? And I want to say, I don't know what indirect trust is. I've never heard of that. Maybe a living trust. Let's try it. Which of the following statements is true about the testamentary trust? Trust and do not avoid trust. They need to be reviewed by a... All right, let's see. Testamentary trust. Let's see what it says. Created after your death and your will goes through probate. Do not avoid probate. Like living trusts. I think living trusts do have to go through. I think living trusts have to go through probate. All right, let's see. Lucas, Ivan, Chad, Trace all own a property as joint tenants. After a few years, Ivan sells his interest to Tom with permission from everyone. Chad dies interstate, but is survived by his wife, Amy. Trace also passes away, but wills his to Monique. Oh my goodness. Who owns the property after Trace's death? Wow, this is like a trick question here. Oh my gosh, I need a piece of paper. All right, who owns the property after Trace's death? All the wives, it looks like. Let's find out who the wives are here again. Amy is the wife, Monique is the wife, and then Lucas is left living. Trace and Chad die, so it would be Lucas left. All right, Lucas and Tom. Did Tom buy something too? Where'd Tom come in? Okay, yeah, it would probably be Tom too. Okay, I want to say all of these. But he's selling the interest. Emma sells his interest to Tom, so maybe not. I don't know, that's kind of tricky. We'll find out if we get that right. Oh no, we failed again. Oh my god, it's going to be an hour-long video. Okay. Sorry, guys. We failed again. Some of these, if we do it again, it should be a lot of the repeat questions. So, let's see. Non-lawful. We got that one right, but we Googled that one, so that would make sense. Okay, pair of siblings. You can screenshot these too, by the way. And it'll help you on the test to go back and look at some of these questions. Without the answers would be better. That way you can see if you get them right. I mean, we got a lot of them right. Wonder which ones we got wrong. Oh, here we go. Here's one we got wrong, of course. This is the community rights property. Both partners own the properties before marriage, but any properties purchased during their marriage are owned equally. Okay. Question 7. Okay, well, they own the property as joint tenants. Okay. All right. That's kind of tricky. Severalty means sever. They're severing off somebody. So they severed off Oliver when he died. So, all right, let's see what this one is. It is subchapter S on this one. Okay, they don't have to pay corporate taxes, and they own a partnership together. Okay, they all have the strip mall. Wonder why the strip mall. Okay, it was worded a little weird on here because it makes it sound like everything was held in the living trust. But now it's saying the strip mall was only thing held in the living trust. So that's why that one had to go through probate. Okay, it avoids probate. The living trust have over the will. It avoids probate. All right, upon the death of a joint tenant, to whom will that person's interest in the joint pass? The surviving joint tenants. Time, title, interest, and possession, joint tenancy. Okay, they're married. It's entirety. Okay. That's the one. I can always remember that one when they're married. Okay. Placed all his real estate investments in a trust. Okay. What type of trust is this? Living trust. Nathan currently benefits as he's required. So this was a lucky guess here, I guess, because I got this one right. I guess because the person is still living, so it made sense. Okay, testamentary trusts do not avoid probate. Okay, I told you this one was kind of a tricky one. Now, oh yeah, look at that. So Amy and Monique did not even get anything. It was Lucas and Tom. Okay. Boy, that was really a tricky question there. I guess that was meant to be tricky too, because they put all the wives' names in there, knowing we would pick the wives. Okay. All right, let's get ready to go through this again, because we got to pass it so we can get on with our next. Let's see if we can do a 70 on this next one. I think we need to get one more right to get a 70. Start exam. All right. Okay. True land trust. Land trust. Let's see. Legal entity. Doesn't really say how long. Purpose of to create liability, protection for landowners. Okay. Interestingly, it can be vague. The identity of the trust owner. Land trust. Do they land trust for a specific time? It's usually established for a specific time period. Land trust interest. Let's see what it says about interest. Personal property. All right. I don't know about that one. But which of the following statements is true regarding trust? An asset may be held in a trust. Could be more than one statement. The trustor is the person who carries out the trustee. The trustee is the person who creates the trust. The trustee is the person who is appointed to manage the trust. So let's read this again. The trustee conveys title to the trustor. I don't think that's right. The trustee carries out the trustee's wish. Super confusing. Is the person appointed to manage the trust. Trustor is the person who created it. So it would be the trustee carrying out the trustors. So this is in reverse, this one here. Okay, I think that's right. When a land trust expires, the trustee must extend the trust term or sell all the real estate. Let's see. Land trust expires, the trustee must either extend the trust term or sell the real estate. Okay, let's go back and look at this. The trustee is the one who created the trust. When a land trust expires, this is a lot of land trust questions here. Okay, let's go up here. All right. Edit, copy. Let's go up here. And provide the proceeds to the beneficiary. All right, if you want to take a picture of this without any answers or anything, it would be a good time to do that now. Which form of co-ownership is a person's ownership inheritable? I think it's joint tenancy. Let me check, because I don't want to take this again. Tenancy in common, so I would have got that wrong. Inheritable is tenancy in common, co-ownership. Okay, I thought it would be joint tenancy, but okay, got that one. We'll see. Hopefully we got it right. Sherman, who owns property in a life estate, neglects the property, significantly diminishing its value. This is called an act of waste, from what I understand. Neglects the property. We can try and check this. I don't know if it'll come up. An act of waste, yeah. Which form of ownership is inheritable and includes the entire bundle of rights? Not subject to any conditions. I want to say fee simple absolute. Let's check it. Inheritable estate is one that is fee simple. Fee absolute. Just like I said. Okay. Fee simple absolute. Under land trust, the owner directs A to hold title to the real estate. I don't know why we keep getting these land trust questions. Owner directs a corporate fiduciary. Okay. In a trust, the trustee is the person who, I believe the trustee is the one who creates the trust. Let's check it just to make sure so we don't have to take this again. Because I'm getting tired now doing this. And you're probably getting tired of watching me. The trustee is the person who acts as the custodian, not the person that initiates it. The person who creates the trustee is the trustee until they can no longer fill the person who creates the trust is the trustee. Okay. Which of the following describes community property rights? All right. Now we had this one before. This was on the last test we took. So let's go back and look and see if we can figure out what we got wrong here. Okay. Both partners own the property. Okay. Community property rights. Both partners may own the properties purchased before the marriage separately in severalty. But any properties purchased during their marriage are owned equally. In some states, it's a form of property ownership for married couples with equal ownership and possession of any property acquired during the marriage. Oh boy. I don't know this one either. Let's see. It is federal law that allows government to designate a married couple's property. Let's see what Google says. See if Google has an answer for us. It is a form of property ownership for married couples with equal ownership and possession of any acquired. I think we already had. Okay, so that's the top one. All right. Which of the following is not a characteristic of a corporation? Okay. Okay, here we go. They have taxation, continuous life. Are they tangible and non-taxable? No, they are taxable. They're recognized as legal. Okay, I want to say that this one. Oh, corporations are tangible and non-taxable. Are corporations tangible and non-taxable? Are corporations taxable? Okay, they're not taxed. They're not taxed. Okay, so that would be a characteristic, or is not a characteristic. Which basic property right is not available to the holder of a life estate? Which basic? I want to say disposition. What is disposition? Let's look at it real quick. Disposition in real estate. It is the process of selling or disposing of real property. Okay. The owner of the property can do that, but the holder of a life estate probably cannot. Okay, if the property is held by two or more tenants in common, the interest of the deceased co-owner will pass to the remaining owners, all right, or the heirs of the deceased. And this is tenants in common, so I'm going to say the heirs of the deceased. I don't know if Google's going to tell us. It's a pretty long question, but we'll try. The other co-owners. Oh, okay. It says joint tenancy. We're talking about tenants in common. So I'm going to stick with what I have. It could also be this one. Could be this one. That's a kind of a tricky one. Okay, let's see. Is the form of ownership by married couples in certain states? Remember I told you entirety is usually the one for the married people. So whenever they say married on the test, pick entirety. Property with ownership by more than one person is known as, I want to say dual ownership. That's kind of a tricky one too. See, they got co-ownership and dual ownership as a question. Property or ownership by more than one person. Co-ownership right here. See, that's kind of tricky. I would have picked dual ownership is what I would have picked, so I would have got that wrong. All right, Howard passed away. Is the state included investments to apartment properties? What type of what type of estate does his wife Julia hold relative to the apartment buildings? Okay, the husband died. He does a curtsy to his wife, I believe. I believe it's curtsy. All right, Darren set up a land trust so his children could benefit from his real estate investments. After he dies, he asked his financial advisor, Tom. This was one of the first tests we took, if you remember. Darren is the person that sets up the land trust. Person setting up land trust is called trustor, trustee, grantor. Trustee manages it. The trustor is probably the one that is the trust or okay, let's go back and look at this now. Darren is the trustor because he's the one that set it up. Yes, it's Tom to manage the trust. All right, let's see how we did. Let's pray we passed it. Oh, we passed. Oh my God. All right, let's go and look at our errors so we know what we did wrong. All right, we got the land trust one right, 10, 20, 30 years. Thank you, Google. So this doesn't go on. It's going to be almost an hour. Which of the following statements is true regarding trust? Asset may be held in the trust. Yeah, we Googled that question, I'm sure. All right, so when the land trust expires, the trustee must either extend the trust term or sell the real estate. Okay, when the land trust expires, you give the proceeds to the beneficiary. Inheritable, co-ownership, tenancy in common. I don't think joint tenancy you can do inheritable. Not positive on that. You can always Google it. Can you do inheritable assets with joint tenancy? Yeah. So here, if a joint tenant survives, then it goes to the joint tenant and not the heirs. So that's the difference there. That's why. Normally in a tenancy in common, the heirs will get to inherit it. So if that's important to you, that's the way to set it up. Okay, Sherman, who owns property in a life estate, neglects the property. It's an act of waste because you're not taking care of your property. What form of ownership is inheritable includes a bundle of rights. This is one of the most common. Fee simple absolute. And you will see this when you create a listing in real estate. They will ask you what kind of property it is. So usually it'll come up fee simple. Under a land trust, the owner directs a corporate fiduciary to hold the title of the real estate, which is different with a regular trust. This is just a land trust. Okay, the trustee is the person who... okay, we got this wrong. Yeah, we did. I don't know why. We should have got this one right. We looked it up like 3 or 4 times. Okay. Make sure the terms are carried out as a trustee. The trustor is the person that makes it. Okay. I must have not been paying attention on that one at all. Okay. Community property rights, super confusing. I don't even know why we need to know this, but anyway, It's a form of property ownership for married couples, and it just gives married couples equal ownership after they're married. Now, whatever they did before they were married becomes community at larges. This is in states that have this, because not all states have it, as we discussed earlier. Which of the following is not a characteristic of a corporation? And we got this wrong. Okay. Corporations are not tangible and they're not taxable. Okay. All right. They are non-taxable. They are taxable. Right? I'm getting confused. Anyway, I remember Google saying they are not taxable. No, they must have said they're taxable. Here it says they're not a characteristic of a corporation. Corporations are tangible and non-taxable, which is wrong. Corporations are not. This is tangible, which I don't know, and non-taxable, which I don't know what that means. And intangible. What does intangible mean here? Are considered non-taxable, paid in capital. Non-taxable. What is non-taxable? Let's see. Non-tangible. All right. Intangible are non-physical assets that add to the company's future value. Okay. Anyway, I hope that helps. What basic property right is not available to the holder of the life estate? Disposition, everything else. This is the holder of a life estate, okay? Not the owner of the real estate property. Okay, the interest of a deceased co-owner will pass to the heirs of the deceased, and this is for tenants in common, not for joint tenancy. Okay, tenancy by entirety. Married couples in certain states. Whenever you see this on a question, it's usually always tenancy by entirety. So that'll be always easy on the test if you get it. Property with ownership by more than one person, co-ownership. Kind of a tricky question because we got dual ownership here, and I was going to pick that. Oops, this is the opposite. Okay. All right, husband passed away. Julie holds a dower. The wife holds the dower. The husband. So the wife does a curtsy to the husband. Okay, that makes more sense, right? If she dies, she's doing a curtsy. If he dies, he does a dower. Okay, curtsy is a life estate and a property held by the widow. He died and he did a curtsy to his wife. Okay, Darren set up the land trust. Darren is the trustor. We're getting ready to end this video. I don't know who's still with me, but I appreciate y'all. One of those questions we should have got right. We should have been like a 84 on that one. Anyway, we're going to continue on to the next thing. It's going to be common interest and ownership properties is our next unit. So if you're sticking with me, this will be on one of my next videos, if you're sticking with this series here. Okay, thank you for whoever stayed the entire time. I should give you a little prize. I think this is my longest video yet. All right, thank you. Bye.